Here's up, guys. John here. What institutional investors in Wall Street have planned right now for the rental market, it's unreal.
Wall Street investors with all cash offers accounted for 17% of all home purchases in 2022.
This growing industry buys or builds single-family homes and then rents them out.
And it's happening this year, 2024. In fact, the first domino has already fallen. If you're a renter, if you're a landlord, you're an investor, you want to be, pay very close attention to what is happening right now, because this is going to restructure and change American housing to the likes of which we've never before seen. Now, how they played this out is just, it's genius, really. It's surgical. It's so perfect what they've done on their end over the last couple of years to position themselves for this takeover that I'll lay out the facts for you. I'll lay out the facts for you. You tell me what you think about this. Please hit the like button. When you hit the like button, YouTube will share the content, educate more people about what's going on in America. If you think about investing in real estate, position yourself in advance right now. The next couple of years will be more important to build wealth than ever before. If you have any credit issues, late payments, charge-offs, medical bills, you have any issues at all in your credit report, you want to square those away and get those removed to put yourself in a position to get funding to be able to go out there and invest. Maybe in real estate, maybe to start a business, but if you have any credit issues, we'd love to help you at my company, GreatCreditFast.com. That's GreatCreditFast.com. Book a free strategy session below by clicking the link in the description. Take a look at this. So, no rate cuts 2024. Why investors should think of the impossible. It came out 2 days ago, right? January 16th, 2024. And this is from Bank of America. Now, many people might say, no, we're going to see rate cuts. We will see rate cuts. Well, they were saying we're going to see rate cuts January 2023. You know, it's been over a year, no rate cut. But when you look at December CPI report showing inflation is remaining stubborn, what does that mean? Well, that means that we are likely going to see rates higher for longer. So this actually could happen. Now, when you look at what this CEO, Cantor Fitzgerald CEO, Howard Lutnick, by the way, this company is doing $300 million a month, $3.6 billion in annual revenue. What he's saying is something we should pay attention to, because what he's saying and what Wall Street short sellers are saying, what these big institutional investors are saying, I mean, you're looking at trillions of dollars behind these statements. So look at this. It's $1 trillion in defaults incoming. It came out yesterday, January 17th. The CEO of top financial services firm sounding the alarm on a very ugly real estate market in the next 2 years. Speaking of Fox Business, this is from Davos, right? From the WEF. The CEO said a generational shift was on the horizon, warning a massive default in loan sales. I think $700 billion could default. The lenders are going to have to do things with them. They're going to have to be selling. Lenders are going to try to unload this inventory. That's what's going to happen the next couple of years. Unload inventory. So if you are, a renter right now, put yourself in a position to start to invest, because lenders are going to, I believe, do things more radical than what happened in 2008, 2009 when things hit the fan. It's going to be a generational change in real estate coming. And in 2024 and 2025, we'll be talking about real estate being in a massive change, $700 billion to $1 trillion in defaults coming. I think it's going to be very, very ugly, the next 18 to 24 months. He explained high rates would result in commercial loans being wiped out. And he's not just talking, when commercial loans, 5 units and above, multifamily, it's a commercial loan. So these short sellers, they're also taking target at a lot of TikTok and YouTube real estate influencers, believing that they don't have the expertise and talent to understand what they're doing and that they're likely going to start to default. And so they are betting against the lenders on these assets that are funding these influencers. So it's very fascinating. So back in late 2010, early 2020s, when interest rates were still near zero, a burgeoning class of amateur real estate titans burst on the scene on YouTube and TikTok. Many of these self-appointed landlord influencers touted get-rich-quick schemes and promises of financial independence to anyone willing to pay for an expensive seminar in the hopes of leaving the financial grind behind. People were told that it's not easy then, as least possible, to become a landlord for anyone willing to take on enough financial risk. Now, so many of these amateur real estate hustlers are struggling to pay back the loans that they took out to buy apartment buildings that short sellers are betting against the lenders who funded them. Interesting, right? Now, when you compare multifamily and apartments, it's interesting. It's very fascinating, actually, because how Wall Street has used the media to kind of push this wealth transfer, it is something we all need to really take note of. So we all heard the story that we're in a massive housing shortage in America. We need to build more housing. We need more housing. We need more housing. Right? And some might say that's true. Other people would say, hey, birth rates are declining. 65% of all single-family homes are owned by retirees. A lot of retirees are going to be forced to sell these properties due to record high inflation, housing costs. Many people just don't have the amount of money needed to retire. We see a lot more inventory coming on the market for rent and for sale. And maybe we don't have that massive housing shortage that they told us we did. But when you look at this, multifamily risk of huge distress coming. When you compare multifamily apartments to office, it's saying a lot, right? It is saying a lot. It's worse. It's basically like office. It's almost like office and hotels or office and retail combined. So breaking. Office vacancy rate in U.S. jumped, record 19.6% in Q4 2023. This marks the largest quarterly increase since Q1 of 2021 and a higher vacancy rate than previous 19.3%. New construction hit the lowest level since 2012, and they're saying that office values are down 40% from highs. Now, that's conservative, in my opinion, especially you look at certain markets, Chicago, LA, San Francisco, they're seeing even more substantial markdowns. I mean, a deal just traded in Chicago for $4 million that was purchased in 2012 for $51 million. So depending on the deal, depending on the market, some of these discounts are 80, 90%. So look at this. Denver, 24,000 apartments empty, 2023. Rents down, vacancies up in Denver. Then you have Manhattan. Residential vacancy rate ticks up as Brooklyn rents spike. Well, it's because we're in an affordability crisis. People leaving Manhattan to go to Brooklyn, trying to save $1,000 a month, $1,500 a month. Vacancy rising for apartment REITs. Even in Nashville, downtown core, see 17% vacancy rate in the rental market. And Tennessee lawmakers float rent control. Now pay attention to this because this is what's happening. When they use the media to talk about a housing shortage and then to basically say landlords are the problem, landlords are the one, absorbing tenants' rent or their income every single month, taking 40, 50, 60% of their overall gross monthly income for rent, it's predatory. What they're doing is positioning a very big slew of changes coming for landlord law, landlord-tenant law, that I think is going to have a really big impact on all of us. So what is going to likely happen here is they're going to push for radical new landlord-tenant protections or tenant protections against landlords. And so what is this going to mean? Potentially a national rent control, potentially rent caps, a lot of changes coming. When you see Tennessee talking about floating rent control, look at this. They're even talking about the same thing. They're talking about even in Oklahoma, they're talking about rent control here. So let's see here. Rent control, Oklahoma is here. Oklahoma senator proposes eviction reforms, and they were talking about, and this came out today, right? So they were talking about putting a lot of protections in to where tenants basically have access to free legal counsel. So this free legal counsel would allow them to delay evictions. So you have Tennessee and Oklahoma discussing this, which you would not have imagined just a couple years ago. So at the same exact time as this is happening, more pressure is being put on landlords. So rents have fallen 3.5% in LA. Miami rent decreased in Miami areas, came out a month ago, December 18th, right? 30 days ago. Then you have evictions skyrocketing in Dallas. 18,000 evictions were filed in last 6 months. So 18,000 evictions. Now, here's how this whole thing is going to start to play out. This is what I believe is going to happen. The next year, the next 2 years, as we start seeing a lot of these property owners lose their assets, they are going to start to retrade these properties. And so a lot of Wall Street investors are going to go out there starting to buy up a lot of these properties at these new repriced values. And so they're going to be able to buy them at a much lower cost basis. And so they might have the flexibility of keeping rents low for a year, 2 years, 3 years. Now, some people might say, hey, that will never happen, John. It will never happen. Well, hear me out. So if they keep these rents lower, what is that ultimately going to do? It's going to put more pressure on mom and pops. That's what it's going to do, forcing eventually a lot of mom and pop investors to start to sell off these properties, allowing them to gather market share. And what I believe is going to happen is as they gather market share, we are going to see a situation over the next 5 years where they start to push out a lot of these tenant protections to where it becomes like the 1970s all over again, where landlords have all the authority. So they're going to basically make it extremely challenging for landlords now until they take over. So look at this. So unaffordable rents linked to premature death. Unaffordable rents. White House right here saying 25% by 2025 is they want to reduce homelessness 25% 2025. How are they going to do that? They're going to do things to prevent evictions. That's what they're going to do. And they've already started in Chicago, Dallas, LA, Phoenix Metro, Seattle, state of California, right? So they're going to do all this. I mean, they've even have a renter's bill of rights on the whitehouse.gov, which allows tenants access. This is a national federal law. So this would allow tenants access to free legal counsel. It would allow them even the option to go on full-blown strike, as if it's like a large company where the employees go on strike, well, the tenants could go on strike together. So it would allow them access to a lot of protections. So like they have something right to organize right here, right to organize, basically go on strike. They have the right to education and enforcement, enhancement of rights. They have all these clean and fair leases. That's based on their terms of a clean and fair lease, not the landlord's terms, right? So you have all these changes that are happening that are being pushed through right now, and now a rallying cry for national rent control. So here's how this whole thing is going to work out. Institutional investors set to own 40% of single-family rental homes. How can they get your share? What's going to happen is that we're getting this massive shift where banks and lenders are going to have to take back a lot of this inventory. It's going to be bought up by a lot of investors. They're going to have a lot more authority and control over pricing. Tenants nationwide, as we start to see this affordability crisis, they're going to look to blame one person, and that's going to be the landlord, because the landlord's taking a bulk of their monthly income. And so in the beginning, there might be a short-term relief, but that is only going to be short-sighted. Eventually, it's going to be the large institutional investors that are almost operating like governments today, and that will be the ones that will remove a lot of these protections, and then we're going to see a whole new type of rental market. So a lot of people might have a bad feeling about their, or bad belief on their mom and pop landlord that they're operating with now. A lot of mom and pop landlords are great people that actually take care of their buildings, that really take care of their tenants, that create a great value for society. When a large institutional player that has 100,000 apartments, 200,000 units, which, sounds far-fetched, but right now they're talking 40%. Some of the biggest investors now in America have 100,000 doors. So you're talking, 7-8 million housing units owned by these funds. Those tenants would basically just be a number, number 10642, right? What type of emotional connection do you have with that firm? You don't. If your rent's not paid on the first, you're out on the second. And that's what I think is going to happen. What do you think is going to happen? Do you think we're walking into a situation where we're going to see a massive rug pull on the America's rental market? Think about this. When you buy commercial property, you're not buying a 30-year fixed rate loan like you are with a mortgage on a home. Every 3 to 5 to 7 years, you have to refinance that loan. When rents are coming down and costs are going up and banks aren't lending, it's a problem. It's a rug pull. Welcome to America in 2024. What do you think about this entire situation? Drop below. We'll have a conversation about this. I think it's going to be the greatest opportunity to invest in real estate. And I think that if you are renting right now, that might not be the goal in 2024 or 2025. You want to put yourself in a position to own your own home. Put yourself in a position where corporations have less authority and control over your income. So right now is a great time to put yourself in a good position with your job or with your business. Put yourself in a position to get out of high interest rate consumer credit card debt and save money, and put yourself in a position to get financing. If you have any credit issues at all that are impacting your credit report, we'd love to give you a free strategy session in my company, GreatCreditFast.com. That's GreatCreditFast.com. If you have late payments, medical bills, charge-offs, foreclosures, bankruptcies, repossessions, or any issues at all in your credit report, go to GreatCreditFast.com, click the link in the description just below this video, schedule a free strategy session. Catch you in the next video.